Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to share something powerful, something that transformed my mindset, my energy, and my direction in just 1 week. The title says it all: 5 Habits That Changed My Life in 1 week, Ronaldo. Ronaldo isn't just a football legend, he's a walking example of how discipline, focus, and relentless effort shape greatness. So, I decided to experiment. I followed 5 of his core habits for 1 week. And the results, life-changing. One of the most powerful habits I adopted from Ronaldo was starting my day early. It might sound simple, even cliché, but waking up early can completely shift your mindset, energy levels, and productivity if you do it with intention. Ronaldo isn't just known for his performance on the field. He's known for what he does before he even gets there, and it all starts in the early hours of the morning. When I decided to start my day like Ronaldo, I made a conscious effort to rise before the sun. No snooze button, no excuses, just up, focused, and ready to move. The first thing I noticed was the silence. No distractions, no messages, no chaos, just clarity. That peaceful space became the perfect environment to center myself, plan my day, and start strong. I began journaling my goals, reviewing my priorities, and setting intentions for how I wanted the day to feel. It gave me a sense of control before the world started demanding things from me. But getting up early wasn't just about being awake. It was about what I did with that time. Ronaldo uses his mornings to train, prepare, and fuel himself mentally and physically, so I followed that mindset. I began using that time for movement, whether it was a run, stretching, or a workout. Starting the day with physical activity made me feel energized and sharp. It created momentum that carried into everything else I did that day. There's something empowering about being productive while most people are still asleep. It creates a sense of accomplishment that snowballs into your attitude. You feel ahead, you feel focused, you don't start the day in a rush. You start it on your terms. That's exactly what Ronaldo does. His mornings are sacred. They're the foundation of his discipline, his performance, and his confidence. Waking up early also helped me avoid the usual distractions. There was no time wasted scrolling or procrastinating. With a clear plan and a calm space, I found myself getting more done in the first few hours than I used to in half a day. That's the difference between just waking up early and using that time like a champion. Of course, it wasn't always easy. The first few days, my body resisted. I was tempted to hit snooze, but I reminded myself, Ronaldo doesn't succeed because he feels like it every day. He succeeds because he shows up, whether he feels like it or not. That's the mindset I adopted, and after a few days, my body adjusted. My mornings became something I looked forward to because they were mine, not chaotic, not reactive, but intentional and powerful. In just 1 week of waking up early like Ronaldo, I saw a real difference. I was sharper, more organized, and more motivated. I didn't just have more time. I had better time. Time that set the tone for success. And that habit, more than anything, proved to me that how you start your day shapes how you live your life. When I made the decision to follow Ronaldo's habits, one of the first things that stood out was how seriously he takes his fitness. For him, training isn't optional. It's a lifestyle. It's not about staying in shape for one game or one season. It's about staying ready always. And that level of commitment completely shifted how I approached my own fitness and discipline. Ronaldo trains with intention. Every session has a purpose. It's not just about doing random exercises. It's about improving every day, even by 1%. That idea alone changed how I showed up to my workouts. I stopped going through the motions. I stopped quitting early. I started treating my training like it mattered, because it does matter, not just physically, but mentally. In 1 week of consistent training, I felt the difference almost immediately. It wasn't just about getting stronger or leaner. It was about the way I carried myself, the energy I brought into the day, the pride I felt after pushing through a tough session. When you train consistently, it builds something far more powerful than muscle. It builds resilience. Ronaldo's routine includes everything from strength training, cardio, mobility, and recovery. He's not focused on just one aspect. He trains like an athlete who wants to be at his peak at all times, so I diversified my own workouts. I added stretching and proper warm-ups. I focused on form and endurance. I pushed myself beyond comfort. That consistency built momentum, and momentum builds confidence. There's also something powerful about keeping promises to yourself. When I said I'd train every day, and I actually did it, it created trust, self-trust, and that's a key part of building discipline. Ronaldo doesn't rely on motivation. He relies on the habit of showing up. That was a lesson I learned quickly. Some days I didn't feel like training. Some days I was tired or distracted. But I reminded myself, champions don't skip work. They show up no matter what. And here's the thing, training goes beyond the gym. It bleeds into every area of life. When you make fitness a priority, you start to eat better, sleep better, and manage your time more effectively. You stop wasting energy on things that don't serve you. You start acting like someone who takes their life seriously. That's what I saw in Ronaldo, and that's what I began to feel in myself. 1 week of consistent training made me feel like a different person. Not just fitter, but sharper, more focused, more driven. Prioritizing fitness isn't just about your body, it's about mastering your mind. It's about creating habits that prove you can do hard things, stay committed, and push through resistance. That's what Ronaldo does every single day, and adopting that mindset, even for a week, reminded me that consistency beats talent when talent doesn't show up. Fitness isn't a side goal, it's the foundation. And when you treat it that way, your whole life levels up. One of the most underrated but powerful habits I adopted from Ronaldo was eating clean and staying properly hydrated. It sounds basic, right? But the truth is, most of us don't realize how much our energy, focus, and mood are controlled by what we put into our bodies. Ronaldo treats his body like a machine, and every single thing he eats or drinks is intentional. When I followed this for just 1 week, the impact was immediate. The first step was cleaning up my diet. That meant cutting out processed foods, sugar-loaded snacks, and heavy meals that leave you sluggish. Instead, I focused on whole, nutrient-dense foods, lean proteins, complex carbs, vegetables, fruits, and healthy fats. I ate more home, cooked meals, and paid attention to what my body actually needed, not just what I was craving in the moment. I started fueling myself, not feeding emotions or habits, and that mindset shift made all the difference. Ronaldo is known for his strict eating routine. He doesn't mess around with junk food, and he doesn't eat just to enjoy. He eats to perform. That discipline inspired me. I began asking myself before every meal, is this going to help me feel better, think clearer, move faster? When I chose clean options, the answer was always yes. The result: I felt lighter, more focused, and more in control. No food comas, no energy crashes, just steady, clear energy throughout the day. I didn't realize how foggy and weighed down I had felt until I started eating clean. It was like removing static from my brain and letting everything run smoother. Then comes hydration, another area Ronaldo takes seriously. Water might seem simple, but it's a game changer. I started drinking water as soon as I woke up, before every meal, and throughout my training sessions. I even started carrying a bottle with me everywhere I went. That one habit kept me alert and energized in ways I never expected. My headaches went away, my skin felt clearer, my digestion improved. Even my cravings started to fade, because sometimes I realized I wasn't even hungry. I was just dehydrated. Ronaldo avoids sugary drinks, alcohol, and anything that slows the body down. so I did the same. I cut out soda and skipped late night snacks. I stuck to water, and on tough training days, I added a little sea salt or electrolytes to help my body recover faster. That small change boosted my endurance and made a noticeable difference in my performance. What I learned is this: what you eat and drink isn't just about health. It's about mindset. It's about choosing discipline over convenience. It's about respecting your body enough to give it what it actually needs. Ronaldo doesn't cheat on his meals because he doesn't cheat on his goals. And when I started doing the same, I realized that food can either fuel your greatness or slow you down. 1 week of eating clean and staying hydrated didn't just make me healthier, it made me more intentional, more disciplined, more like the person I wanted to become. And that, for me, was the real transformation. When I started following Ronaldo's habits, one of the most impactful lessons I learned was that discipline isn't something you turn on and off, it's a way of life. It's not limited to the gym or the dinner table, it has to exist in every corner of your day. Practicing discipline in all areas changed the way I moved, thought, reacted, and lived. Ronaldo is the perfect example of someone who lives with full-spectrum discipline. It's not just about being fit. It's about holding himself to a standard in everything he does, and that's what I set out to try. I told myself for 1 week I would be intentional about every decision. Every action would have a reason. That decision alone elevated my focus and completely shifted how I viewed my daily habits. It started with the little things, getting out of bed when the alarm rang, not when I felt like it. Making my bed right away, keeping my space clean and organized, these simple acts set a tone of control. When you practice discipline in the small things, you start to trust yourself with the big things. You begin to believe that you're someone who follows through. In the past, I'd often let my day lead me. I'd jump between tasks, let distractions steal my time, and tell myself I'll do it later. But when I committed to discipline like Ronaldo, later stopped being an option. I created structure, I set boundaries with my time, I planned my day and stuck to it, even when I didn't feel motivated, and that's the key. Discipline doesn't rely on emotion, it relies on choice. I noticed that Ronaldo applies the same discipline to his rest and recovery as he does to his workouts. That means getting quality sleep, not staying up late scrolling through his phone, so I followed that. I set a sleep schedule and stuck to it. No late night distractions, no screens in bed. It wasn't easy at first, but after a few nights, I felt more rested, sharper, and more present. The structure brought peace, not pressure. I also began practicing discipline in how I spoke, how I reacted, and how I treated people. I chose to speak with more intention, to listen before I responded, to stay calm under pressure. It was a challenge, but it made me feel more grounded and in control of my own behavior. That's something Ronaldo demonstrates all the time: emotional discipline, even in the heat of the moment. By the end of the week, I realized that discipline wasn't about restriction, it was about freedom. When you're disciplined, you don't waste time, energy, or potential. You don't second-guess yourself. You move with purpose. You build self-respect. That's what I saw in Ronaldo, and that's what I began to build in myself. Practicing discipline in all areas of life didn't make me perfect. It made me powerful. It reminded me that greatness isn't built in grand gestures, but in the tiny, consistent choices we make every single day. And when those choices are made with discipline, everything begins to change. One of the most surprising habits I learned from Ronaldo is how seriously he takes visualization and mental preparation. We often focus on the physical side of greatness: strength, speed, endurance. But what truly separates champions from the rest is their mindset. Ronaldo doesn't just train his body, he trains his mind. And following that mindset for just 1 week helped me realize how powerful mental preparation really is. Visualization is more than just daydreaming or thinking positive thoughts. It's the intentional practice of seeing success in your mind before it happens in real life. Ronaldo is known for visualizing his goals, literally. Before games, he imagines himself scoring. He sees the angles, the movements, the reactions. He plays the match in his head before stepping onto the field. That kind of mental training creates clarity, focus, and confidence. So I tried it. Every morning, before I even touched my phone, I spent 5 minutes visualizing. I'd close my eyes and picture the kind of day I wanted to have. I saw myself moving with confidence, completing tasks, staying calm under pressure, making progress toward my goals. At first it felt awkward, but then something clicked. My days started to follow the pattern I had imagined. I was sharper, more focused, and more in control, not because things got easier, but because my mind was already prepared for them. Mental preparation also meant managing my internal dialogue. I paid attention to the way I spoke to myself. Instead of saying, "I hope I can do this," I switched to, "I will do this." That small shift in language created a big shift in confidence. Ronaldo doesn't walk into games hoping he'll perform well. He walks in expecting to. That expectation comes from mental preparation, knowing he's trained, knowing he's ready, knowing he's already seen success in his mind. I also practiced reflection. At the end of each day, I took 5 minutes to look back. What did I do well? What challenged me? What can I do better tomorrow? This small habit helped me stay grounded and aware. It kept me from repeating the same mistakes and reminded me that growth isn't just about big wins. It's about small, intentional progress. Ronaldo's mental preparation isn't flashy. It's private. It's quiet, but it's powerful. And once I made it a part of my daily routine, I started to understand why mindset is everything. Life throws challenges at us constantly. If you haven't trained your mind to respond with focus and belief, you'll fold under pressure. But when you've already seen yourself succeed, when your mind believes you can handle anything, you show up differently. You don't panic, you execute. In just 1 week of practicing visualization and mental prep, I noticed a real shift. I was less reactive, more strategic, less anxious, more intentional. It reminded me that success isn't just about what you do, it's about how you think before you do it. And that's a habit that truly changes everything. One of the most eye-opening lessons I learned from following Ronaldo's lifestyle was how seriously he treats rest and recovery. Most people think greatness is only built during the grind. The workouts, the training, the late nights. But the truth is, what you do between the workouts matters just as much. Rest isn't weakness. Rest is part of the process, and Ronaldo proves that. When I began this 1-week experiment, I expected the focus to be on pushing harder, training more, doing more, grinding non-stop. But as I studied Ronaldo's routines, I noticed something unexpected. He rests with the same intensity that he trains. He doesn't just work out hard, he recovers hard. That balance is key to long-term performance, and I experienced it firsthand when I made it a priority. The first thing I changed was my sleep schedule. No more scrolling late at night. No more mindless TV in bed. I created a consistent bedtime and wake-up routine, just like Ronaldo does. I made my room darker and cooler, limited screen time before bed, and treated sleep as a non-negotiable part of my routine. Within a few nights, I started waking up clearer, less groggy, and ready to move. I didn't just feel more rested, I felt more alive. I also began incorporating active recovery into my day, stretching, walking, light mobility exercises. Nothing intense, just movement that helps the body repair and reset. In the past, I'd ignore soreness or try to power through it. But when I slowed down and actually listened to my body, I realized that recovery isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing what your body needs to bounce back stronger. Ronaldo is known for his use of ice baths, massages, and even naps. That's how serious he is about recovery. He doesn't wait until he's exhausted or injured to take care of himself. He builds recovery into his daily routine. That mindset changed everything for me. I started taking short breaks throughout my day to recharge instead of burning out. I took time to breathe, to stretch, to just pause, and it made me more productive, not less. Another huge part of recovery is nutrition and hydration, two things I had already committed to during this challenge. Fueling your body properly before and after training, staying hydrated, and avoiding junk that slows down recovery. It all adds up. It's not just about how hard you can push, it's about how well you can bounce back. What I learned is that rest isn't a reward for working hard, it's part of working hard, it's part of performing at your best. It's how your body and mind reset, rebuild, and come back stronger. That's what Ronaldo understands so deeply. He's not great in spite of resting. He's great because he rests properly. In just 1 week of respecting recovery, I felt a major shift. I had more energy, fewer aches, better focus, and a clearer mindset. Rest and recovery became a tool, not a luxury, and when you treat them with the same seriousness as your workouts, your entire performance, physically and mentally, levels up. If there's one thing Ronaldo embodies, it's laser, sharp focus. He knows exactly what he wants, and he structures his life around that. One of the most life-changing habits I picked up from his routine was cutting distractions and focusing entirely on my goals. And let me tell you, in just 1 week, it shifted everything. We live in a world that's constantly pulling our attention in a million directions. Notifications, social media, news, endless scrolling. It's easy to fall into the trap of being busy, but not productive. Ronaldo avoids that trap by cutting out what doesn't serve him. He's not wasting energy on drama, negativity, or comparison. His focus is locked in, and I wanted to feel that kind of clarity too. So I made a decision. For 1 week, I'd cut the noise. I turned off non-essential notifications. I deleted apps that were just stealing time. I limited social media to 15 intentional minutes a day, not endless scrolling. I stopped multitasking and started monotasking, giving full attention to one thing at a time. It was harder than I thought at first. I didn't realize how often I reached for distractions just out of habit, but once I broke through that initial discomfort, something amazing happened. I got my time back. And with that time came focus. I could finally think clearly. I wasn't jumping between tabs or checking my phone every few minutes. I was locked into what mattered, my goals, my growth, my progress. Ronaldo's life is structured around his mission. Every action he takes supports his vision. That's how he maintains such a high standard year after year. I started asking myself before every decision, does this move me closer to my goal or pull me away? That one question became my filter. It helped me say no to distractions without guilt and yes to discipline with purpose. With fewer distractions, I started making real progress faster. I finished tasks quicker, trained with more intensity, rested with deeper focus, and actually felt present in my daily life. My anxiety dropped because I wasn't mentally juggling 5 things at once. I felt lighter, clearer, and more in control. Focusing on my goals also meant getting specific. I wrote down exactly what I wanted to achieve that week, physically, mentally, emotionally. I broke those goals into daily steps and tracked my progress. Seeing that progress on paper kept me motivated and focused, I stopped wishing and started working with intent. What I learned is this: distractions aren't just time wasters, they're dream killers in disguise. Every moment you give to something meaningless is a moment stolen from your purpose. Ronaldo knows this. That's why his focus is ruthless. He protects it. He guards his time and energy like they're gold, because they are. In just 1 week of cutting distractions and locking in on my goals, I saw a different version of myself, one that wasn't scattered but powerful, one that knew what they wanted and wasn't afraid to pursue it with full attention. And that habit, that's one I'll keep for life. If there's one thing that ties all of Ronaldo's habits together, it's his mindset. His success isn't just about physical talent or hard work, it's about how he thinks. Adopting a champion's mindset was the most powerful habit I practiced during this 1 week transformation, and honestly, it changed how I saw myself, my goals, and what I believed was possible. A champion's mindset starts with belief. Ronaldo doesn't walk onto the pitch hoping he'll win. He expects it. He believes in his ability because he's earned that belief through consistency, preparation, and discipline. I realized that for me to make real progress in any area of life, I had to first believe I could. I had to stop doubting, stop shrinking, and start thinking like someone who wins. So every morning, I told myself, act like a champion today. That simple affirmation rewired the way I approached everything, from workouts to conversations to setbacks. A champion doesn't skip work just because they're tired. A champion doesn't make excuses. A champion doesn't let fear win. And repeating that mindset over and over gave me strength I didn't know I had. One major shift was how I dealt with failure. Before, I'd take mistakes personally or let them knock me off course. But with a champion's mindset, failure became fuel. I started seeing every setback as a setup for a comeback. If I missed a workout, I didn't spiral. I planned better. If I messed up on something, I reflected and adjusted. That's what champions do. They don't avoid failure. They learn from it and grow stronger. Another part of this mindset is refusing to settle. Ronaldo is already one of the greatest, but he still trains like he's trying to earn his spot. That level of humility and hunger inspired me. I stopped being satisfied with good enough and started reaching for better. I pushed myself harder in the gym. I held myself to higher standards in my daily choices. I stopped waiting for motivation and started relying on commitment. A champion also focuses on growth, not comfort. I reminded myself that greatness is found outside of the comfort zone, so I leaned into the discomfort, whether it was an intense workout, an early morning, or a difficult conversation. I told myself, this is how you grow. And that shift in mindset made discomfort feel empowering instead of draining. Perhaps the most powerful lesson I learned is that a champion doesn't need permission. They don't wait for the right time. They don't depend on external validation. They move with purpose and lead from within. Adopting that attitude made me feel unstoppable. I wasn't waiting to become someone better. I was becoming them now. In just 1 week of practicing a champion's mindset, I felt a transformation that went deeper than the physical. It was mental, emotional, even spiritual. I carried myself with more confidence. I faced challenges with more strength, and I believed in my goals like never before. Because at the end of the day, your mindset shapes your reality. And once you start thinking like a champion, it's only a matter of time before you start living like one. In just 1 week of following these habits inspired by Ronaldo, I saw firsthand how much can change when you fully commit to growth. Waking up early, training consistently, eating clean, staying focused, and thinking like a champion didn't just improve my routine. They elevated my entire mindset. I felt more energized, more confident, and more in control of my life. These weren't massive, dramatic changes, but small, intentional habits that created a ripple effect. The biggest lesson: success isn't about talent alone. It's about discipline, mindset, and consistency. Ronaldo isn't great by accident. He's great by choice. And we all have that same power to choose greatness in our own lives. You don't need a year. You don't even need a month. Sometimes 1 focused week is all it takes to begin transforming your life. The question is, Are you ready to start?